This story doesn't start with a big product launch. It's about something quieter. It's about the exact moment a new kind of future just showed up without any warning. You see, back in January of 2026, something fundamental shifted. And no, it wasn't announced on some big stage with a fancy keynote. It happened silently, on a server humming away in Vienna. And the person who started it all, he was thousands of miles away, completely unaware. And this is that moment, right here. On one side, you have a developer, Peter Steinberger, just enjoying his vacation in Morocco. Then, a bug report lands. But 2,000 miles away, back in his apartment in Vienna, an AI agent he built wakes up. It reads the report, it analyzes the code, it writes a fix, and then it submits that fix. All by itself. No human told it to do anything. And just like that, we had proof. A truly autonomous AI agent wasn't just possible, it was working.
So how did we get to this point? Well, a moment like that doesn't just happen out of nowhere. It was actually the climax of this huge viral explosion, and it was all started by one guy.
And that guy, Peter Steinberger, wasn't exactly a newcomer to the tech world. He'd already built a software company with, 1 billion users and sold a big chunk of it back in 2021 for 100 million euros. Now, for most people, that's the end of the story. Time to retire, right? Well, he tried that. And he found it incredibly boring. So he channeled all that energy into solving a frustration he had, something that bugged him personally. These AI assistants that always needed you to hold their hand. So, late in 2025, he knocks out a prototype in just 1 hour to fix it. He puts it out there in January 2026, and boom, within 3 weeks, it becomes one of the fastest growing open source projects ever. The whole idea just went completely viral. We're talking over 2 million people hitting the website in a single week. It was getting more buzz than some of the big established AI tools. And the reason was pretty simple, really. It was proactive. It ran on your own computer, your own hardware, and it would just let you know when a task was finished, like a real assistant would. The internet just exploded with pictures of people building these home server setups just to run this thing. But here's the thing. The very qualities that made it such a sensation, how simple it was, how powerful it was, well, they also created this massive hidden risk. And absolutely no one saw it coming. See, the project was really meant for personal use on your own machine, but because it went viral, thousands of people started setting it up on public servers. A lot of them didn't have much security experience. And by the end of that same month, January, researchers found something pretty terrifying. Over 21,000 of these AI agents were just wide open on the internet for anyone to see. And this really shows you how bad it was. We're not talking about a minor leak here. These AI agents had deep access to the systems they were on. So the exposure was just catastrophic. We're talking private API keys, company passwords, entire chat histories, even direct access to the computer's command line. It was like leaving the keys to the entire kingdom just sitting on the front doorstep, completely unprotected. And believe it or not, the security disaster, that was just the beginning. It kicked off this incredibly chaotic 5-day stretch where one crisis just piled on top of another, and it almost destroyed the entire project. It was just a perfect storm. Okay, so day 1, the security crisis blows up. Day 2, trademark lawyers show up with a cease and desist letter. So there's a mad dash to rebrand as Maltbot. But then crypto scammers immediately jump on that name to trick people. And then by day 5, it turns out the Maltbot name also has legal issues. So they're forced into a third and final rebrand, OpenClaw. So the project is on the brink of complete collapse. And Steinberger, he frames all of this chaos not as a failure, but as growth. He uses this great analogy of a lobster molting. How it has to shed its old tight shell so it can get bigger? That's what this was. The project had to literally shed its own identity multiple times just to survive. And that whole crisis, it forced a really fundamental shift. The project that came so close to dying came out the other side with this new, much clearer identity. OpenClaw wasn't just another cool tool anymore. It was now a statement, a kind of philosophy about where AI should go next. What OpenClaw stood for was this major fork in the road for how we think about AI. So on one path, you have the old way. You rely on big corporate cloud servers, you hand over your data for convenience. But OpenClaw championed a different path, self-hosting. The idea that powerful AI runs on hardware you own, that you control. Your data never leaves your machine. You're not just a user in someone else's system, you're the owner. And this really became the core belief of the whole project. It stopped being about just writing clever code. It became a movement, really, about giving people autonomy back from corporate control, about making privacy the default, building it right into the foundation of everything. And this is where we get to the heart of the whole story. It's this central tension, this paradox. The OpenClaw saga really brought two powerful competing ideas to the surface at the same time. On the one hand, OpenClaw is this amazing proof of concept. That moment back in Morocco, it proved, without a doubt, that autonomous AI agents aren't science fiction anymore. They're here and they work. But that 5-day crisis that followed is also this huge flashing warning sign. It shows us that autonomy without security, well, that just creates chaos. So the arrival of OpenClaw, as fast and as chaotic as it was, it really pushed us over a new line. And it leaves us with this really critical question. It suggests that maybe the next big challenge isn't about building even more powerful AI. Maybe the real challenge is figuring out how to operate it safely so we don't end up creating a future we can't control.